got some of the fastest cars in qualifying. The one that's been the biggest surprise to me in this whole group is Robert Presley and that Jasper team. They've done an incredible job. He's run first or second all day long since they dropped the green flag in this race. So they've done their homework over here.
Right now, Steve Park, because here comes Nemechek and the Kenny Wallace car. They got a pretty good head of steam. Park right now might be wise to pull out and try to catch Kenny Wallace and try to get by Robert Presley, but couldn't do it that time.
Less than 8 laps to go. Now that second group has caught the lead pack, and so we have a 7-car freight train through the east end of the banking at the Speedway.
A lot of times what happens is when you saw Kenny Wallace in the second pack catch up, if you don't make that move initially, you close the door, you don't have a move. Now you're just in line running the same speed that the cars in front of you run. So you got to catch him in the right place, and it's all time. You got to catch him, pull out, make a move, make something happen. And if you don't, then your day's over with. And, you know, Kenny didn't pull out. He wasn't at a place on the racetrack where he could pull out and do anything. So this just may be the way the race ends almost, in a straight line, unless somebody in front of him does something.
Kenny is trying to make something happen. He's trying to run a little bit higher on the racetrack, trying to get someone to go up there with him. Watch as he goes in the middle of the racetrack, trying to tell Steve Park, let's go on that high side and try to go by these on the outside. And the yellow flag is coming out.
We've got debris on the racetrack, and so the caution will come out at the conclusion of lap number 19. Remember, the caution flags do not count. It's Skinner leading him to the line.
I tell you what, but right before that came out, you saw that the 42 car, Nemechek, tried to do something, and Jeff turned in under him. So, but I tell you what, Jeff did something really classy there, too. He knew the caution was out. He backed off and let Nemechek go back around in front of him because that was the way it was.
Caution.
Check this out, a restart side by side. This is, just like the start of the race with 7 laps to go.
It changes the whole complexion. You talk about Kenny Wallace and Nemechek working together. Now they're side by side. How do you work together side by side?
Exactly. A very, very slow start. Very slow. Somebody's trying to get a great jump. Who's it going to be?
The green is out, and here we go. Still, it is Skinner and Presley staying side by side on the brake as they roar down into the first corner. Boy, you got to be impressed with Robert Presley. He has been very, very competitive in this race.
Can he run on the outside? He was not able to do it there. As Skinner gets that run, here comes Steve Park, and there comes Kenny Wallace. But now they're side by side.
Yep.
I think Steve had to check up just a little bit to let the 77 back in line or run over him, and that gave Kenny just enough jump to get on the outside.
Jeffrey Bodine and Joe Nemechek are side by side behind Steve Park. As it's a 4-car breakaway, there's Nemechek and Bodine, along with Bill Elliott. They come off the corner and will complete lap number 19. 6 laps to go. Mike Skinner won the pole position for both races here at Daytona in 1997, the Daytona 500 and the Pepsi 400. He was the 4th fastest qualifier in time trials yesterday.
That was with a different race car. It's like Bill Elliott right now is just wishing his car by Nemechek.
He's just up on the steering wheel, just making it go forward.
He really is. And now they finally, it looks like they're going to clear themselves with Jeffrey Bodine.
Bodine will fall in behind Elliott as they come off the corner.
You know, I was really surprised just in that lap and a half that front pack of 3 or 4 running that line while the pack behind them was running too wide. They didn't get any further away, but that shows how long it takes for the cars to get up to speed. The draft really doesn't help them in the first lap or two.
Skinner continues to lead. Presley second, then Kenny Wallace and Steve Park, followed by Nemechek and Bill Elliott. Nemechek trying to close in on Steve Park to pick up the draft.
Looks like when Nemechek gets 4 or 5 car lengths behind, all of a sudden his car stops pulling up, Kyle.
He's got to have a little bit of room or a little bit of help from behind to help him get through that wall where the air begins to break behind it, and that really sucks you up through it. Once you get through that, then you're okay. But to run up against it, a lot of time it affects the cowl pressure. It affects a lot with the car.
Now he has closed in on Park, but has Bill Elliott right on his back bumper. Less than 4 laps to go. Who is going to move on to the Bud Shootout coming up after this race?
You know, the old cliche that you use all the time, yeah, he can catch him, but can he pass him, is something totally different. It's never true of any place that we run at Daytona.
It could be that all these lead lap cars are just sitting there right now with a foot on the floor and not able to do anything.
Doing all they can do, and like I say, waiting for somebody in front of them to do something. And you know Skinner's not going to do anything but block the racetrack. And 77, if he makes a move, got to have somebody to go with him. If not, then he's the set and duck, and everybody else gets too wide. Skinner wins the race, and you know nobody knows what happens from 2nd to 5th.
Joe Nemechek was the fastest that lap, back in 5th position. Mike Skinner finished 8th in the Daytona 500 last year and 2nd in the Pepsi 400. He got into this race by being the fastest second-round qualifier at Richmond. They're headed toward the start-finish line and the completion of lap number 23. And, oh, Park might have had some contact there.
It looked like Kenny Wallace, again, had to back off the throttle just a little bit off turn 4 for some reason. That allowed Steve Park to get back. Park's trying to go on the outside.
What happens a lot of times when you get in that position, somebody's behind you, your car loses its front end, and it begins to skate up the racetrack. It's just an arrow push. There's not a lot you can do about it. Check up, and when you did, the guy behind you can get into you a little bit or make a move and make you look like you just absolutely set still, and that's what happened to Kenny just then.
Well, he was running in 3rd position, and now he's battling with Bill Elliott for the 5th spot. There's Jeffrey Bodine right behind Wallace, but up front it is now still Mike Skinner leading by about a car length over Robert Presley and Steve Park. They come down for the white flag. 1 more lap to go. Will anybody make a move? Will it be Mike Skinner? What's going to happen on the last lap? Let's look and find out.
Bill Elliott jumps to the inside right there of Nemechek.
Tries to bring Dick Trickle with him.
I got to give a call to Elliott's crew, too. They've had a rotten week as far as qualifying speeds, but they've got their race stuff together.
He has moved to 4th position. Mike Skinner trying to break the draft, snaking down the backstretch, but he still has the lead as they approach the banking in turn number 3.
I think at this point in time, it's about all over except for the check presentation. There's not a lot of moves been made coming out of turn 4 over the last 3 or 4 years.
We'll see if there's one here. Here they are, coming toward the checkered flag. Presley looks to the inside, cannot do it. Mike Skinner wins the Bud Shootout qualifier with Presley 2nd, followed by Steve Park. Bill Elliott winds up in 4th spot, and Joe Nemechek comes home 5th. But the race belongs to Mike Skinner, who now will prepare to get himself into the Bud Shootout.
And that's the big deal right now. He gets to go out and play with those guys that won poles last year and see how his Lowe's Chevrolet compares to those cars. He knows he's the best of this bunch. How about those other cars?
So he will join the Bud Shootout for the 2nd time in his career. Jerry?
But he needs some help. Yeah, he's not going to go anywhere right there. He's got to get, Jarrett's got to get up there and push him, or Skinner won. All he's going to do is just aggravate people. 4 laps to go. But I give him credit. He's been lifting our telecast because he's trying. That's what I like. He sure is. Watching from Dale Jarrett's car, Mike Skinner just ahead. So close to the front of the field. You could almost walk across the cars to the lead one. So close, and yet so far. Oh, this is like fishing, man. You got it on the hook, you get it right up the boat, and it falls out.
Aggravating.
It's aggravating because, you know, if you could just get in front, you could stay there.
Well, Mark Martin's doing a good job of staying there.
Now, Jeremy Mayfield does not have his drafting partner, but the 2nd and 3rd place cars right now are just the way they were with a couple of laps to go in last year's Daytona 500 when Labonte and Mayfield traded paint on the way to the line behind Dale Earnhardt. What Mayfield said, if he had it to do over again, was he'd make the move sooner. Let's see if he can here. 3 laps to go.
Who's that up on the outside there now?
Ah, Schrader.
Made a good move.
Inside, outside. He's a racy kind of guy.
That's my hero right there. Go after him, Kenny. Get on the outside. Worry him to death. I don't think you're going to go anywhere, but keep trying.
That's Schrader's. Is the 31 going with him, or is he going with the 18?
Ah, they ducked back in.
Yeah, ducked back in line.
Well, maybe with that Chevy in front of Labonte's Pontiac, they can do something with Mayfield. Up into the banking, and it'll be 2 to go.
Kenny's got that high line working. He's up on that outside, and that's fast.
He's found himself something there.
Come on, buddy. Come on.
But he needs some help, and now Labonte's going to go with him.
He's got to.
Now he's got help. Bobby Labonte lines up behind Schrader. That blue Chevy squeaks into second, and Labonte almost got elbowed into the wall. Here he comes around Mayfield.
This is
Ralph Shaheen.
Mike, this is the first chassis Andy Petrie Racing ever built, and Kenny Schrader loves it so much that he didn't make any changes to the car at all since it came off the truck. In fact, he didn't even practice this car at all yesterday in the final session. However, we're hearing that it is leaking a little oil out of the back. Mike Skinner has already radioed in and complained about it. So who goes with Kenny Schrader? He's going to have to decide if he wants to follow the oil or not.
Lap and a half to go. No good deed went unpunished. Bobby Labonte helps Schrader up around Mayfield, and look at Labonte. He's now leading the second pack.
But I saw him come from 8th place on the last lap of the night race here back in October and almost won the show. I wouldn't count him totally out. That thing it gets up goes on that last lap.
White flag in the wind. 1 lap to go. Mark Martin's Ford, Kenny Schrader's Chevy, Bobby Labonte's Pontiac. Which of them to win it?
Labonte's going to be a factor. I saw him do this very same thing the last lap of the race here. He finished second to Gordon, but he came on hot at the end.
A last lap pass has decided this race 4 times. Dale Earnhardt did it, Neil Bottom twice, and Rusty Wallace in 98 with a last lap pass. Schrader has a mile to go to try to overhaul the number 6 of Mark Martin into the banking on the east side, turn 3 for the final time.
I don't know where he's going to go. I don't have a clue. I think Mark's got him blocked out. I think he can block him out and beat him back to the line.
Labonte tries to close on Schrader, give him a little aerodynamic shove. Schrader to the inside. Mark Martin brings it down. Mark Martin with his first Daytona victory, winning the Budweiser Shootout.
Well, that's good. That's great, Mark. Good job, buddy.
Well, that maybe told us something. You get out front, that's the place to be. You said at the top of the show, that's where you wanted to be.
Yeah, dadgummit, it works every time. I wish it didn't, because Kenny might, give Kenny credit. He tried every way he could to break up that strategy, but just out front where you got to be.
Well, February in Daytona starts the same way it left off last year when Dale Earnhardt held the ball off on the final lap. Here's Dick Berggren.